I'm a citizen.
So many instructions. Who anasema left, mwingine anasema right. Okay.
Governor Kazi.
Yes,
what are you doing inside the Parliament today?
No, I'm here at the Senate. I came to the Senate to see the leadership and the members of the committee. I think you all know there's a long-standing issue between the COG and the Senate. And I hear that the COG has issued a statement. First of all, I am a very law-abiding citizen. I think I have come to this Senate more than anybody else. This year alone, more than 6 times. Last year, more than 10 times. I have come to answer audit queries from 2015. My predecessors came only once each. Yeah. From 2022, I have answered audit queries from 2015, where I was an MP. I was not even the governor. I have answered all the queries for the second administration, when the governor was different, when I was a senator, until this last one, where the COG themselves had a position saying that because of these outstanding issues, where they have claimed extortion, they've claimed intimidation, etc., let us wait until those are resolved. I think as a leader, what for me is imperative, first of all, is to make it very clear, yeah, that accountability is extremely important. But accountability must be done in the right way, pursuant to what the law provides for us. And I've never had an issue appearing. Last week I was here, today different committee, next week, we'll always come. But that underlying matter, yesterday 29 governors were called, only 2 came. And those who came said they will not prosecute the matters. They have not resolved anything. Yeah. So there is a need, and I've spoken to the Speaker of the Senate, I've spoken to the Chair of Council of Governors and my colleagues. An eye for an eye will lose our sight. You cannot cut off your nose to spite your face. We need to resolve that issue. We've been very much willing to go through that. The first 5 years of Nairobi County had disclaimer opinion reports, negative. The next 5 were adverse. My reports are clean, they're qualified, And so that is not the issue. So singling out one county out of 30, for obvious reasons, maybe it's because I'm close to the Senate, is not a fair thing to do. But I'm here. We'll continue engaging on these issues. So I think it's been blown out of proportion.
The COG says that there has been allegations of extortion.
Yeah.
You as a governor of Nairobi, have you experienced the same?
Of course. There has been, and if they need us to table evidence, we'll table it. But you see, and then what? These are institutions. It's not an individual issue. It's not a personal issue. It is 2 institutions that need to... We serve Kenyans, We must be accountable, but also they must be accountable. You cannot have a bully pulpit as an institution. That is abusing power. It's abusing office, We've always been available to discuss these things. I reached out last month. On behalf, I'm not a leader at COG. I relinquished even my position that I had there. But as someone who has been in this house for 5 years, I said, look, guys, let's sit informally and agree and discuss what the issues are. They have issues with 4 senators. They have accused those 4 senators of actual, they have charges against them. That can be resolved. 67 senators are not guilty. 47 governors are not, But I think it's easier to single out Nairobi. I think I can't hide in a crowd, and that's why you look for Nairobi. Yesterday, how many were summoned? Summons. 29. How many came? You were here? 3 or 2? 3. Even 3 out of 29, if I do maths properly, is maybe 6.2 out of 29 is 6.9%.
So what have you agreed? What have you agreed from the meeting?
No, we'll follow it up. We're pursuing discussions with the leadership of the COG and the Senate. It must be done. This statement must be, let's look at it in the bigger picture. I wouldn't vilify any one individual. Of course, Nairobi is always an easy target. But on behalf of all the other 47 governors who have had issues, I am ready to take that, to carry that cross.
That's your bare minimum.
As?
The COG.
I think COG has spoken. I don't speak on behalf of COG. They have spoken. They've had a press conference today.
Are you likely to appear before this committee in future?
Of course. I've appeared before it 30 times. Before the Senate. Last week I have no problem. But we've taken a position as a COG. It's not about Nairobi. And so that is what needs to be resolved, that underlying issue, you know. If you force someone to appear and you just appear and say nothing, what does it help? Yeah. Yesterday you were there when the governor of Siaya came. He even didn't take oath. He said, "I'm here, but I will not say anything." An eye for an eye, we will lose our sight. Let's look at the bigger challenge that we are facing between the two institutions.
So where were you, Governor, yesterday when the police were looking for you?
I was in my office.
They said they couldn't find you.
Not, I have a private office. I was in my private office.
Governor,
Why come to my office at night? I was in the office the whole day. Who is in the office at 7? At City Hall.
Governor, you
I was in the office the whole day.
They were looking for you, and it was all over the media that they were looking for you.
Yeah.
Have you maybe tried to reach out to them, to submit yourself to them? Because
To who? They were looking for me to come here. I've come here.
Or to come to the committee, not to the
But isn't that what they were looking for?
fine. And
They were looking for me to come to Senate. I'm here at the Senate.
COG are accusing a few senators, the 4 of them that you mentioned, of extortion and other issues.
Yeah.
We know it takes 2 to tango. Why do you give, or why do governors give, and then they go and claim that they're being extorted? If you're not willing to give, don't give and then appear.
I think they're not getting return on the investment. That must be that must be the problem.
So they give and they are.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, you know.
So the
But
governor,
I mean, I'm not a fugitive. I'm the governor of Nairobi.
So,
I'm
Governor,
in
were you
this city,
perturbed by
and-
the level of deployment yesterday around the office?
No, it looked ilika kipindi, but I was not perturbed by it. I'm used to it. We've gone through so much. When I was in this house, they tried to arrest us like 10 times. You remember? During the revenue debate. I'm not guilty of anything. Have I ever been accused of corruption in any of the media houses? I'm the first governor of this city without a scandal, a single scandal on corruption. Tell me one where I've been accused. Never. I've moved my reports from adverse, from disclaimer of opinion to qualified, and I'm going to get unqualified. I have nothing to hide from the Senate or from the public. I'm very proud of the strides we've made. Look at today's paper. You guys have talked about pending bills. And Nairobi, you've actually praised Nairobi for reducing by 6.7 billion. Am I someone to run away? No. No. Accountability is extremely important, but there must be, you know, as you've said, it takes 2 to tango. Yeah? And everybody must do their part. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
The committee is writing a report which will be tabled in the afternoon
Yeah.
in a few minutes, and they are likely to give an adverse report. What do you say?
They can't give an adverse report if the Auditor General's report was qualified.
But you didn't appear.
They cannot change the Auditor General's report. They can give recommendations for entities to investigate, see, which I'm very happy with. In fact, if you go to those agencies, most of the letters have been from me on particular issues, you know. So until that matter, the stalemate between COG and the Senate is resolved, yeah, governors have said, deal with that first. It's okay. The law talking about 31st can be amended. That's not a problem. But no one should run away from accountability. Accountability is cardinal. But also, you cannot have a bully pulpit where you decide now, since you're here, settle political scores or extort people. No, that one we cannot agree.
Is overhauling the membership of the committee an option for you?
Well, I don't have the power to overhaul a committee because I'm not in the Senate. But I think you need to spread out. Let's have different regions dealt with by different subcommittees instead of just one. And that's a discussion we've had even when I was in the Senate. You know, let's have clusters, yeah, to deal with different areas. Because imagine you have a deadline. You've called 29 people in one day. When I come here, you've been here. I sit here for the whole day from morning to evening. How about 29? Was it even practical to have 29 members at the same day? It is not. So, you know, the ultimate thing I want to say, I've always been available for accountability, and I always will. I've come here 30 times. I've come more than any of my predecessors and more than any other sitting governor. You have the statistics, you can check it out. Last week I was with you here, Devolution Committee. Today I'm supposed to do another committee. Next week I'm on another committee. We're always ready. But when there's an underlying issue between institutions, and even if you don't recognize the COG, recognize 47 governors as constitutional office holders.
But Governor, if there is a lot of truth in whatever COG and you yourself you're saying about extortion, why did it take that long for you to raise this issue?
Well, I think that one you can ask the leadership of the COG. Unfortunately, I'm not the leader. I'm not the spokesperson of the COG. It's a matter that has been dealt with for a long time. And many times, you wait for the last resort. If things can be discussed and you can talk about them together, that is always the better thing to do, you know. Because, I mean, we must be responsible people. We are dealing with public resources, public interest. Let's not go to sideshows and drama and dramatize accountability. There's no need for that.
You said you were extorted. Do you have an example of a case that someone asked for a bribe from you?
I don't want to go into that.
Senators?
I don't want to go into that. I think let me leave the talks between COG and the Senate to deal with it. If it doesn't work, then we'll just give you all the evidence that everybody has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Away from this, yesterday.
Because it's there in abundance. There's video. There's all that, but it's not necessary.
Governor, what is this?
That's corruption, Moesh. How do you say it's not a corruption
normal
integrity
then?
issue?
Yes, it is, and it must be dealt with.
Why do you say it's not necessary?
That's why the institutions that are charged with it. I didn't come yesterday because of extortion. I didn't come because my institution that I subscribe to is having an engagement with the leadership of the Senate. It will be responsible for me to ignore that institution and come as a single person, kujisafisha.
Even if we
It have not
accountability
been-
is individual?
We have institutions. Let's respect institutions.
Governor, finally, yesterday the Senate poked holes
Yeah.
in the agreement between your government and the
Yes.
national government.
Yes.
What's it?
He said it is illegal.
I think I was here. Urban Areas and Cities Act Section 6.2 provides for that agreement. In fact, what was illegal is all these years of there being no agreement. Because if you look at the reading of that law, it says there shall be. Shall is not could or should or may. Shall is very definitive and it is mandatory for there to be that agreement. The shape and the form of it can be discussed, in terms of whose responsibility is what, and I came and I answered that here. But there must be an agreement between the capital and the national level. That one, I still hold to that. But I'll wait to see the report that they bring out.
The president is said to address the county assembly, I think,
Yes.
on the 9th.
Yes.
Could you give us details of that?
No, we agreed. It's very historic for the president to actually come to address the county assembly. No president has ever done that. And one of the days when I had taken my members after a church service, we agreed that he can come and have, a sitting with them, come to the county assembly. I think it is just strengthening the devolution, and we're really looking forward to it on the 9th. And really, because the governor gives his address, but he should do that to even more counties, because we are one country. There are no citizens of a county separate from the citizens of the national government. We're all Kenyans, and I think it's historic, and we're looking forward to hosting him on the 9th.
Do you think your roles were taken over by the national?
No, I don't,
Through the back
Manuel.
door?
We've discussed that many
Through
times.
the back door?
No, we've discussed that many times. Don't ask me questions you've asked me before. We've said it clearly. You heard clearly what was said yesterday. I think that is we're beyond that. We're beyond that. We've discussed that. Asanteni sana.
Asante Governor.
Mbarikiwe.
Wewe pia.
Hakuna reverse here. Hakuna reverse here.